Hi, I'm Lance with Rive, and welcome to Rive Remix, where we take files from the community and make them production ready. And here's what we're going to be building. It's just a simple clock with the date and the time, and we're going to use scripting to get the user's real system time so that when you export this, it can be used in a game engine or the web or on mobile without having to add extra logic. Everything's going to be self-contained in the exported.riv file. The person who made this is Rab 8-bit, and definitely check out their socials. They do these awesome hand-drawn illustrations, hand-drawn and then illustrated in 3D models and hand-painted textures. Very, very cool stuff. But let's go back to the file. To open it in Rive, just click Remix. All right, let's check out how this is built. So we have our seconds hand, we've got a minutes hand, a minutes shadow, which are separate files, are separate groups. And it looks like all of those are controlled with just timelines. So we don't want to do that. We want to control this with real data. So I am actually going to delete all of these. And just to keep things clean, I'm going to delete all of these unnecessary layers. All right. Instead of timelines, we are going to control it with a view model. And view models, if you're not familiar, are just where you put the data that controls your Rive file. So I'm going to have a new view model. I'm going to name it clock. And I'm going to have a few properties, one for seconds, one for minutes, one for hours, and one for date. Okay. And I need to, let's name this artboard clock. I need to make sure that this view model and its instance are bound to this artboard. And then I can go in to each of the elements, like the minute hand here, and we can right click and say data bind and make sure minutes is bound to the minutes property, and it's converted from degrees to radians. And if we click play, you can see that now when I move the minutes degrees, it will move the actual hand. So it looks like the shadow is its own separate object, and a better way to do it might have been to delete that and then go to the minutes and add another fill to the object, give it a feather, and give that feather an offset. So that way we could have just bound a single item instead of two items, but for now, we're just going to leave it as is. So we can actually take that exact same property and add it to the minute shadow. Data bind minutes. So now if I click play and change my minutes, you can see that it works exactly how you would expect it to. Great. All right, let's do the very same thing with the other properties. I'm going to take this hour hand, add it to the hours rotation, the hour shadow, do the same thing. And the seconds, I think this is the second hand. Yeah, that's the second hand. And also do the second shadow. And the date here. Let's see. We've got a shape. Oh, this is not, that's just a path. It's not an actual text field. All right, let's make a new text field. And we're going to call it, we're going to put it in the same place as day. We're going to call it date. And we're going to make sure it is the same font as where it says made in Rive, and that is Aleo. Aleo something. Okay, so font is Aleo. Regular. And let's make the text just 1 for now. And click I so we can sample the color. And that did not work. Sample the color. Okay. And delete this. And I know it's not the exact font, but that's all right for now. Let's place it kind of in the center and make sure that the text is centered so that it's going to look nice whether it is, 2 digits or 1 digit. Okay, yeah, so that looks good. And let's make sure that this is bound to the date. And you'll notice that this is yellow, and that's because the date is a number, but for a text run, it needs to be a string, and we need to create a new converter, a string converter, convert to string. We don't want any decimals or trailing zeros. So now we can reselect this, right-click, update bind, and now we have a convert to string, and it turns green, and everything's going to work. You can see that all of the view models, all of the data properties in the view models control the right things. Okay, I see a problem though. Notice that when seconds are at 0, they're straight up and down. When minutes and hours are at 0, they are pointing to the right. No problem. We're just going to change the default rotation the same way we would change the center point, the rotation point on any object. So let's click minutes, and while it is straight up and down, click Y, and then rotate this until this value says 0. So now when I click play, 0 is straight up and down. Let's do that with the other ones as well. Now when it's 0, everything's straight up and down. Perfect. Now let's make this actually functional. And I changed the names from hours to hours angle. We could have kept it hours and then use a converter to convert the hour to an angle, but I'm actually just going to have the agent manage the angle itself. So create a new script called clock. Control the values in the view model on the main artboard. Update every second. Get the system date. And convert the date time to hour angle, minute angle, etc. For the date should be the day of the month. This will take a good 30 seconds. Let's see how it does. Okay, we have a new script. It looks like it's grabbing the context for the view model. That's great. And it will update each value. And it looks like it understands that it needs to set it to the angle, not the number. The updating of the clock is its own function, and it happens every second. This looks perfect. Let me put this on its own tab. And to add it to the screen, we go to the Assets panel. Any script is an asset. And click this little Add to Active Artboard, or you can right-click and add clock there. I want to put it somewhere where it's easy to find. I'm going to put it at 0, 0. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm playing. Okay, I'm actually going to put it off the screen so it's easy to find. Now when I click play, everything should just work. And it does. It is 2:49 p.m. and the seconds are moving every second and the date is correct. Everything looks great. We've got just one more step, and that's to make sure this is production ready so that we can send this right off to the developers for iOS or the game or whatever this is going to be used in. So I'm going to the assets panel and I see a couple of raster images and it looks like they're used 0 times. So we can safely delete these. We don't have to delete them. It's fine to leave them if they're used 0 times. They're not going to get compiled into the final Rive, but just to keep things clean, I'm going to get rid of them. We also have this Google font, and you can see that its size is about 145 kilobytes. Our entire exported .riv file is about 160 kilobytes, so most of that is going to be this font. So what we can do is change the export option from including all glyphs, which means it's going to include a bunch of Latin characters and stuff we don't need, to glyphs used. And that means only characters that are in an artboard are going to be exported to the .riv file. But we're going to run into a problem. We've got a bunch of numbers, but we're missing, I think, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to do a little trick, and that is to create a new artboard. And we're not going to convert this to a component, meaning it's not going to be compiled into the .riv file. But if I add text into it, those characters will still be compiled into the Rive. Now when I compile it for runtime, the entire thing is just 27 kilobytes, and that's what you will hand to the developer, and that's what will get compiled into whatever app you're trying to build. And that is our first episode of Rive Remix. Thank you for joining. See ya.